Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Terence from GSMA, heading APAC 5G industry community. So welcome again to join our community workshop today about paving the way in digitalization and sustainability for a smarter and greener port. So this section is tailor-made for logistics, port and transportation industry interest group. So this session will also run in Mandarin. So if you are a Mandarin listener, you can switch to the Mandarin channel in the Zoom menu. There's a interpretation button. You can select Mandarin. And we also welcome you to post questions in the Q&A boxes because our speaker will help to answer you online. In case they don't have time, they will follow up offline. So please leave your question in the Q&A box. So for today, we have a very rich content and very good lineup of speakers. So after myself finish the opening, we will have the first speaker from the leading mobile operator in Thailand, AIS. So they will share you about a real case study on deployment of smart port in Hutchison, Thailand. And then we have the second speaker coming from China Mobile International. China Mobile have strong deployment of 5G, not only in China. They also support a lot of sector beyond China to use the 5G technology for digital transformation. So today, Gosung will share about the deployment of 5G in a Europe port. And then the first speaker is coming from E6. So E6 is an ecosystem player. They provide a 5G solution. So today they will talk about the role of 5G in enhancing marine and coastal ecosystem monitoring and management. And finally, but not least, we have a very good lineup of panel who will explore the impact of 5G advance on ports and logistics, how massive IoT, RedCap, or the very new technology, passive IoT, will revolutionize good handling, trade information, and distribution. So the session will be moderated by John Tay, and then joined with Celcom Digi, the leading operator in Malaysia, and also GTI, a global mobile operator alliance, and also from the leading technology supplier Huawei. In case you still don't know about GSMA, GSMA represents the interest of mobile industry around the world. We have over 1,000 members in more than 200 markets and countries. We work very closely with our members, especially mobile operator, government, to drive a new initiative, including 5G. So GSMA, every year, we produce very large leading industry conference, MWC, Barcelona, Shanghai, Las Vegas, and also some regional conference, Mobile 360, bringing more than 200,000 people together to try to discuss the hottest topic and address the challenge and define the role of the technology for the upcoming years. So this year, Mobile 360 will be happening at South Korea, the capital, Seoul, in 1st and 2nd of October. So welcome to join us. Back to our topic today about port. Actually, APAC have more than 18 out of the top 25 global largest capacity container port. So APAC is continuously to be the manufacturing region in the world, also with a huge population, over 56% of world population in this region, and also increasing middle class. So the port really play a central role in the economic, social development of city, country, and geography. So ports handle more than 80% of the global trade, and the maritime landscape is really changing, so as the business of the port. Recently, Deloitte actually published some new paper about the top 10 challenge shaping the future of port. They are facing a multitude of challenge according to the report. The first two is about unstable power and protectionism. The global balance of power is being challenged by divergence in demographic, economic, technological, and geopolitical development. So world power are securing their position right now in the future of global chain network, which making heavy impact to the current chain pattern. Protectionism is also rising, driven by the growing inequality, regional conflict, and a shift in global power. So this lead to global trade being affected by this kind of trade distortion. So this may result in reshoring of industry, negatively affecting the trade and increasing process complexity. And then the third one is the ecosystem thinking, driven by the client demand, technological development, regulation, pressure on the margin. The maritime cluster is increasingly collaborating. Cities with maritime cluster that really invest in collaboration across industry that can fully realize the innovation potential. Number 4 is about digitalization of port and landscape. Tighten labor resources, increased collaboration, pressure on the margin are driving automation and digitalization in the maritime industry. And fifth one is the infrastructure resilience. It's become more critical with port, as port being exposed to ever-increasing wide array of potential and disruption. The sixth one is climate change. So a lot of ports are actually located along the coast or on a low-lying delta area, which are very vulnerable to changing weather pattern, rising sea level, and extreme weather event because of the climate change. Number 7, decarbonization has become a global imperative, which a priority for maritime industry being the backbone of the global chain. There's agreement that we need to do more to reach the net zero by 2050. Number 8, e-commerce. As you all are aware, consumers spending more on e-commerce platform, which growing every year double-digit growth, and profoundly impact the maritime industry. This would lead to increase in container size, cargo, lead to the need for modernizing and expanding the existing port infrastructure and operation to support. Number 9, consolidation, driven by the shipping volume, transport efficiency, port expansion. So the maritime industry has seen a consolidation in ports, terminal, and shipping company. So this company become more bigger and bigger, more bargaining power that impact the development of the port. And finally, diverging demographic. So for example, Northern Hemisphere countries need to use more automation and digitalization to address the workforce challenge in the aging population. But on the other hand, Africa with very young population and also growing need for investment in the port infrastructure, which will also make Africa ports become more important player in the global trade. So all what I highlighted 10 business challenge showing the indispensable value to the port industry. Each of these challenge actually will going to shape how the future of the port development and also how the smart port is being developed right now. So the 4 killer about the smart port from the industry consensus, there should be 4 key pillars. First is about the efficiency. Optimizing port and terminal process through digitalization and automation is very critical. Using of the ICT technology like big data, AI, Internet of Things, or blockchain technology on the fundamental resilient connectivity like 5G network. Resilience, able to adapt the changing circumstances and recover quickly from disruption is really crucial. Dealing with the increasing ship size, geographically limited growth, opportunity, and increasing pressure on productivity of seaport. And collaboration, the interconnectivity of all the players in the maritime supply chain through the automated transmission of data in real time is very crucial aspect of a smart port concept. The increased connectivity among individual players will improve the performance end to end. Finally, of course, sustainability with the increasing demand to reduce emission along the entire supply chain. So smart port are focusing on environmental aspect and sustainability and also safety as well. So this is a very nice diagram to give a snapshot of how technology being used to improve the innovation and performance in the along the entire value chain in the seaside, ports, and also land side. Each process actually you see a lot of ICT technology can adopt it to streamline the work of digitalization and automation. So we believe that infrastructure with very secure, resilient connectivity to provide computing capability are very fundamental requirement to connect assets, goods, devices, machine, workforce, and the stakeholder, which can help them to digital the physical world with digital twin, manage the end-to-end value chain operation in a very intelligent way with all the data, insight, and digital tools being used. So of course, smart ports should aim for using the right technology to reduce energy consumption, improve efficiency for long-term sustainability. So 5G smart port around the world. The good news is we already see almost the top 10 largest global port already adopt 5G to enable the smart port journey. For example, in Asia Pacific, North Asia like Korea, Hong Kong, South Asia, Southeast Asia like Singapore or Sri Lanka in South Asia or Thailand in Southeast Asia, they already start the 5G enabled smart port journey. Today, you will hear some of them to talk about this. And then in China mainland, the top 6 container port in the world is also sit in the China. They're already using the 5G technology to enable the smart port. And then, of course, all around the world, like American, Europe, Middle East, they all start the 5G smart port journey, which give a good fundamental, which give a good overview about the latest development of 5G smart port. So regarding to the commercialization of 5G, there are already 282 mobile operators roll out 5G in more than 109 markets. So in Asia Pacific, already more than 20 market roll out 5G. And there are also more market going to roll out like Vietnam, Bangladesh as well in this year. So the momentum is still very strong. If you look at our GSMA intelligence forecast by 2025, there will be more than 143 market roll out 5G. And up to 2030, there will be 225 mobile market roll out 5G. Almost all the world will roll out 5G. So 5G definitely is not only a technology for consumer in a device, mobile device, phone use case or scenario. It actually supports a lot of digital transformation in different sectors because of the capability of 5G network can use the network slicing technology for dedicated resources to support private usage. It also can support a purely private network dedicated for a specific area location to using the technology. And of course, it also have the flexibility for hybrid network. So it will create huge impact for public sector services, including health, education, transportation, smart city, and manufacturing. A lot of factory manufacturer can use the technology, and of course the utility, energy mining sector as well. So 5G is a technology already promoted for a while. So I think most people are aware of the capability of 5G. Here, I just want to highlight this technology is evolving, which can start to develop up to the 6G. At the moment, we already see with this 17 available in the market. So 18 is on being rolled out. And then of course we also have 19 and 20 coming before 6G. So a lot of new features like the webcam passive IoT are on the roadmap of the 5G Advanced. So GSMA recently published some white paper about 5G Advanced. So welcome to go to the website to download this white paper if you want to know about the newest feature of 5G Advanced. For example, 5G deterministic network is a very powerful feature to support industrial network for guarantee QoS end-to-end. So finally, of course, I want to mention about the community that are being driven by me and also our member and stakeholder in the region. We work with our member, including government operator, leading technology provider and enterprise, try to create a community to support different sector to accelerate the learning of 5G. So we're covering 5 sectors. Today, we will focus on logistics, port, and transportation, but we will run regular activity for other sectors to support the learning and share the best practice. So this regional alliance, APAC 5G community, also work very closely with local alliance in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, for example, to drive the national 5G adaptation. And then, of course, we also work with global alliance worldwide, including in automotive, 5G ACIA in manufacturing, auto medicine in healthcare, GTI. Today, we also have a speaker from GTI, and critical communication, PCCA, and NFA from the Private Network Alliance. So we will work with them to support the 5G development that tailor-made for different sectors. So if you are the first time to join this kind of workshop, just want to remind, in the past, we already produced more than 20 workshop content. Some of them are virtual, some of them are physical. We also produce case study. So welcome to go to the community website to access these resources. We also have a very rich Canada activity to support different interest groups to accelerate the learning and also provide business matching and networking opportunity. So after this, just want to highlight MWG Shanghai is coming. So if you want to visit the 5G development in China, we actually arranged some tour working with GTI. So welcome to reach out to me if you are interested. And then we also will have a M360 APAC at South Korea. So just come to me if you're interested on anything you want to participate. Okay, so now let me pass to the first speaker, coming from Thailand, Mr. Ponsatthorn Pimo, the head of Telco Network and Business Solution from AIS.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my slide.
Yes.
Can you see my slide?
Yes. Can you maximize?
Good. Okay. Thank you, Clarence and GSMA to invite us to share for our 5G Smart Port project. Actually, the 5G Smart Port project is the first 5G commercial for us in Thailand that we provide the 5G private network in the real operation for the customer. The first one, let me briefly about our customer profile. We provide our 5G to the Hutchison Port, Thailand. They are the member of the Hutchison Port Group, the world leading port for the operation. There are 53 ports in 24 countries worldwide. And for the Hutchison Port, Thailand, now there are 5 terminals operated in the Ram Chabang port in the East region, Thailand. Let's see the video for highly brief about the Hutchison Port Thailand vision.
ฮัตชิสันพอร์ตประเทศไทยเราเป็นผู้ประกอบการท่าเทียบเรือตู้สินค้าในท่าเรือแหลมฉบังที่นี่เราเน้นการดำเนินธุรกิจอย่างยั่งยืนใส่ใจต่อสิ่งแวดล้อมและสังคมรวมทั้งบุคลากรผู้ร่วมงานและผู้ใช้บริการ เราจึงมุ่งมั่นปรับปรุงและพัฒนาการให้บริการโดยการนำเทคโนโลยีที่ทันสมัยเป็นมิตรต่อสิ่งแวดล้อมใช้พลังงานอย่างมีประสิทธิภาพเน้นความปลอดภัยและสร้างบรรยากาศที่ดีในการทำงานณท่าเทียบเรือชุดดีเราพัฒนาระบบ Smart Seaport โดยมีปั้นจั่นยกตู้สินค้าหน้าท่าและในลานตู้สินค้าควบคุมจากระยะไกลหรือ Remote Control Operation และการนำรถบรรทุกอัตโนมัติไร้คนขับซึ่งถือเป็นท่าเทียบเรือแห่งแรกของโลกที่นำรถบรรทุกประเภทนี้เข้ามาปฏิบัติงานในเส้นทางจราจรร่วมกับรถบรรทุกที่มีคนขับนอกจากนี้เราให้บริการระบบ Automated ทำให้ลูกค้ารถบรรทุกตู้สินค้าสามารถผ่านเข้าออกท่าด้วยระบบอัตโนมัติและดำเนินการได้ด้วยตนเองเราพัฒนาระบบเชื่อมโยงข้อมูลระหว่างผู้ใช้บริการกับท่าเทียบเรือโดยมีโมบายแอปพลิเคชันชื่อว่า UBI ที่ช่วยเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพและลดเวลาการทำงานระบบต่างๆได้ทำงานบนโครงสร้างพื้นฐานดิจิทัลเช่นเครือข่ายระบบ 5G ที่ช่วยให้เราปรับปรุงเปลี่ยนแปลงพัฒนาการทำงานทั้งในปัจจุบันและในอนาคตทั้งนี้เราได้ทำงานร่วมกับพันธมิตรทั้งภาครัฐและเอกชนเพื่อพัฒนาธุรกิจแบบยั่งยืนตอกย้ำพันธกิจของ Hutchison Port the world's leading port network.
Okay. For the Hutchison Port Thailand vision, is there is to operate port with the automation and concern about the safety and security, as well as as well as the operate with the um, concern about the environment as well นะครับ okay and they also use the remote control for crane and the autonomous truck unmanned truck by using together with the in the same load of the in the truck with driver and they also use the 5G plan to use the 5G to address for the automation and improve the productivity. Next one, when AS work closely together with the customer, we found that their complaint is about the current connectivity that they use. For the key crane, they use the fiber cable for the connectivity. For the gantry crane, they use the wave guide for the connectivity. Both of them, when crane give the movement, there are more potential to broke. They bring the high MA cost for them. For the autonomous truck, actually they would like to have some 5G to address about the emergency case. They would like to control remotely for the truck, for the autonomous truck, yeah, when the emergency case is a case. For the port location, as I mentioned, now is located in the Bang Port, which is in the Eastern Economic Corridor, Chonburi Province, East region in Thailand. The sizing for the port is about 260K square meter, quite big. They expect 5G to replace the waveguide and also the fiber cable. For the autonomous truck, they expect 5G to support them for the remotely control the truck from control room in case of emergency, and also the send the data about the truck performance. This is the specific, the detailed requirements for their solution regarding the 5G connectivity. For the RTG crane, in this project, about the 20 crane, RQC1 crane, and autonomous truck 6 units. you can see the upload requirements, peak upload and average upload requirements quite high because they use actually the remote control. They use the CCTV to streaming the video to the control room. So that's why uplink upload higher than the download. Based on my experience, the most of the use case for the 5G upload more than download bandwidth. And also latency. Their automation solution they require latency less than 15 milliseconds. Quite challenge for us to provide this latency level. By the way, we can provide. I will tell you later. Why they use AS 5G? The first one, based on the very large area of port, 5G provide more cost effectively than other alternative solutions. The number two, AS can deliver the latency as they expect. Number three, we use the network slicing technology to ensure the service quality for them by separating traffic between enterprise and consumer in that area. And the last one, we have the solution to stabilize the latency because they use in the real operation. They cannot accept for the swing latency. I will share the solution to you later. For the first one, what we provide, the first one we implement the 5G cell site with the two antenna to serve the high bandwidth demand and as well as the large coverage area for them. We also implement the 5G UPF in the East region to provide the low latency as they expect. Actually, we have the UPF 5G UPF in the Bangkok as well, but to serve this customer, we need to have the new one in the East region area. This one is the high level diagram for the RQC RTC use case, remote control gain use case. We install the industrial CPE, 5G CPE in the crane, in both crane. Because in this case we need to use the industrial grade CPE because they are in near sea and it's outdoor use case. So industrial CPE grade is more important than the home or the enterprise case. And the data from the crane transmit. I mean the video transmit via the 5G cell site and go to the UPF in each region and send the data via the fiber optic to the control room. Okay. In the practical, they switch to use our 5G sometimes, and they switch back to the cable view and waveguide sometimes as well. But when they ensure that 5G can serve their quality, they switch. They move to use the 5G in the long run. And this one for the autonomous task is the same concept as the remote control. The data transmit from the transmit via the 5G to the UPF in each region and use the fiber from the UPF in each region to the control room. This is the 5G CPE installation in the QC crane. The challenge is about how to install 5G CPE in the clear direction to the cell site because the crane movement all the time. So we need to ensure that along the crane move, the 5G signal is still good. because it impacts to the latency with the signal loss. This one, the 5G installation in the RTG plane. Okay, in this one, for the autonomous car. And this one to tell you about our solution to stabilize the latency or the load register. We provide two CPE in the same crane, and the traffic sent via the 5G to control room in the two direction in the both CPE in the same time, active concept. And the router in the control room will select the good latency traffic and send to the control room. So in the result, you can see that the latency quite smooth comparing with the single link. And this one is a concept that link one and link one and link two. Link one sometimes is the latency is not spike, it's high, and link two sometimes is high, but in the same time, it's not high in the same time. So the router in the control room can select the best latency and use this one to the customer. This one is last slide for me to summarize about our delivery to the customer. We provide the 5G private networks with the good optimization to the customer for the autonomous truck, remote control crane in the both RQC and RTC use case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ponsaston. I think it's very good demonstration on how AIS playing a role for the resilient infrastructure. So very good, very innovative to see how you can use the resilience link to enhance their performance end to end. I think it's very promising development. And yeah, there are questions on the Q&A boxes, which is a very practical question about the business model and also some of the technology that you mentioned. So please check the question in the Q&A boxes and help to answer. Just remind the audience, if you have question to the speaker, please post your question in the Q&A boxes. They will type the answer back to you because we don't have time for verbally answering any question. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ponsaston, can you stop sharing?
Okay.
Thank you. So now let me introduce the next speaker. So our next speaker is from China Mobile International, Mr. Guo Sung, the product manager from enterprise business. So he have a very strong experience on supporting industry for deploying 5G. So I think one of good example is not only in China, but also deploy of 5G in a Europort. So over to you, Guo Sung.
Right. Okay.
Yes, you can share your presentation.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, please maximize it.
Right. Just 1 second. Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for invitation from your side, Terence. I'm quite happy to take some time sharing the experience from China Mobile International on the part of 5G smart port and the green port. Yeah. Before we go to the port, I just want to take a couple of minutes to have a look at what's the CMI. CMI is the company under the China Mobile Group From China Mobile Group, we have some divisions. One is for CMI. We are doing all the telecom business and some ICT business outside of China. And also we have the CMHK. That means the Hong Kong operator. We have the spectrum in Hong Kong. And also we have spectrum in Pakistan as well. And for these two parts, that's the main business for the inside of the China mainland. And currently, we are the largest mobile operators in the world, according to the consumers. Here is the CMI. Our headquarters based in Hong Kong, and we have around 2,000 employees all over the world. And we established from 2010, and until now, we are doing the most 5G services outside of China mainland. Right. iSolutions, since I coming from the enterprise business, we have our one brand called iSolutions. Here we have like global customers more than 10,000, and also some key projects deployed around 8,000. And also we have our outside China mainland eco partners, more than 200. Right. First, I would like go to the key values of China Mobile International. Why we put the 5G consultant service on the very top before the port, since from China Mobile, I mean our group company have the largest networks operated inside of China, and also the 5G networks as well. And if we go to the abroad, like go to some other countries outside of China, some operators have their spectrums, in their hands. Also, they're facing some challenges in terms of like how to set up the strategy of the business, why they setting up the what's the value of building the 5G networks. And afterwards, they will ask us how to operate the entire networks, and also how to set up, hundreds of services on these networks, and also, how to manage and maintain the networks. So from the our solutions, I mean, China Mobile, if we go to overseas, those are all the key questions facing and coming from our, local partners and our customers as well. So through our, consultant service experience, we will at the very beginning to do like, consultant service to their end customer to help them set up their strategy and build up their networks, and also help them operate it. And afterwards, we will suggest them what kind of service and applications should run on these networks, and also how to manage the whole networks as well. So we are building such kind of business mode in quite simple. That's not only applied to the port, but also apply to some other, 5G customers, like 5G industry, 5G communities, and 5G factories, etc. From very beginning, we will present to the our users, that means the enterprise users, why they need to build up the 5G networks, what's the value and the benefits it can bring to them. And for those parts, we are taking out the consultancy roles of the help them deploy the local 5G networks. And coming to this part, since from China Mobile International, we don't have our own spectrum outside of China. We only have some our platforms can deploy for the customer to build up the entire 5G solutions in terms of like ports or factories or communities, etc. And afterwards, we need to to prove what's the advantage and what's the benefit if they build such kind of solutions and networks. Let's go to the main topic of today for the part. For the 5G networks and the solutions, most focus on the different functional areas. For example, this is the some diagram of the typical part. We will divide it to the individual functional areas, like the WAF areas, like some field bridge, and some IoT areas, and some horizontal transportations, and some like we need to deploy some cameras areas as well. So in the very beginning, we just get the whole function areas of the entire port. Afterwards, we will set up the whole solutions for the end user, the customer. For example, those are the functional areas we have been defined for the customer. And afterwards, we need to think about and design the whole solutions for the end users. For example, what kind of terminals we need to run on this 5G networks. And for the 5G network part, for most of the customers, like port customers, they are sorry, they are all providing the private networks, and based on that, that's the cloud part. We need to implement it all the applications in their data centers. This cloud is private, deployed, and on the above part, we need to put all the individual applications here and make the intelligence operation center. That's actually is a big screen to demonstrate what kind of functions and what kind of applications run on the entire networks. Here the structure of the 5G part. From the below part, from our side, we provide the business consultants, solution designs, and the system integrations, and also how to maintain and manage the networks. And since China Mobile doesn't have the local spectrum, so we have to cooperate with the local mobile network operators. For example, if we're doing the project in Europe, probably with Vodafone, with some other local operators, they will provide us the spectrum and also build up the private networks as well. Those the whole structures in terms of the terminal part, we will need to help the end users to design what kind of terminals need to access to the entire networks. And for the network part, Actually, we need to help a customer to monitor what's the quality of the service. We put, some monitor equipment into the networks, like from the access networks and also the transmissions and also the core network part. And for this platform part, we will, deploy some key platform here to support individual applications. Up here is the application layers. For the port part, we divided two functions. The one is for the outdoor applications, another is the indoor applications. And on the very top, we will put the IOC, that's the Intelligent Operation Center, to integrate all the applications and visualize all the applications on the big screen to help the end users to see the whole operation of the entire port. Here is the diagram to illustrate what's the network structures. From terminal part, we will, according to the end users' requirements, put the individual typical terminals here. And for the wireless part, transmission and the core part, we will cooperate with the local operators and also the equipment suppliers to build the entire network. Here is the cloud. For the traditional, port customers, we need to help them to build a small data centers here to run all the applications on the data center. Here the platform part. Platform part is deploy the platform to monitor the whole operations of the port, and also can see some status, status options on the screen. And it's the on the very top part for the Intelligence Operation Center. Actually, for most of the part, they need quite big screens. So we have deployed this part on the screen and integrate all the applications and collect all the data and simulate all the operations, make it the whole view. Okay, I just quickly finish my sharing from my side. Any questions?
Thank you, Guosong. I think it's a very comprehensive sharing about the capability and the role of China Mobile International. How you guys, I think more like system integrator and consultant to support the port modernization. I'm very surprised that China Mobile is go beyond connectivity, but more focusing on the platform and also the vertical domain that you can help the port operator to develop. This is really encouraging and go beyond your comfort zone already. So yeah, thank you very much. So I just want to remind if the audience have any question to Guosong, you can put the question in the Q&A boxes. He will stay for a while and then have to answer the question. So I see one question right now in the Q&A boxes. So please, Guosong, you can go to chat and have to answer. If you have more questions to Guosong, please leave the question as soon as possible. Yeah, Guosong, can you stop sharing?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully we can bring our APAC delegation to visit the port in Europe or in China very soon.
Yeah, we have quite a lot of successful cases.
Yes, of course.
Inside China and also inside China as well. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay, so now let me go to the next speaker. So we have the next speaker from E6. So E6 is talk about the role of 5G enhancing maritime and coastal ecosystem monitoring and management. It's not only on a port, but also the maritime area around the port. So let me introduce Kinson Chen, the CEO of E6. Over to you, Kinson. You can unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Now we
Let me
can
share
hear
my
you.
screen.
You can share. Yes.
Okay. And then make it larger.
Coming. Okay.
So you
Good.
can see it?
Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead, please.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kinson Chen from E6. So we are a 5G technology company, mainly so focus on some 5G communication. Now we like to discuss about the maritime and even on the port. Just like Terence mentioned about the 5G can cover from the sea, from the port, and all the way to the land. E6 is doing that. So we are going to discuss on these two parts. E6 is a Hong Kong company, got a lot of different kinds of award before because of technology IP fiber, which is some kind of platform network can use on the 5G, develop for the port use, maritime use. Okay. Let's start from the maritime and then see how we can manage help to the port. Okay. In maritime, what communication? Of course, these are very obvious. A lot of information we need to exchange from the different kinds of a vessel and also to the land to even to the satellite. Yeah. Mainly they're focused on some distress, safety, and urgency issues. Some of the communication, they may require a security communication. And nowadays, many of the general communications are required. For example, people just like to watch a video on the boat. They feel boring, they want to come for video communication with the on the landline with their friends. Many this kind of communication was not affordable, but we can do it now. So some expectation, as I mentioned, video, voice communication, and all this type of communication, their common backgrounds, they require a high data transmission and also the cost. But nowadays, I think that over 90% or maybe more of this kind of maritime communication relies on the satellites. So many people just focus on satellite, how can make it higher bandwidth. But of course, satellite, you know that the first problem, the challenge is the cost. How we really address the cost issue, so we can solve that problem from now. And also the mobility and also the harsh environment. For example, you really have equipment on the vessel. So different kind of vessel, including cruise and also tanker, etc., different kinds of vessel. And in the ocean, the environment is really harsh. And many of these type of communication, they require a security concern because they don't want some hijack on different kinds of people, maybe create some commercial problem or also a safety problem for them while they're on the boats. When we can address this issue, we can have a more efficient and also maritime settings for that. So on the maritime cost, we have some example of the figures. For example, this counter tanker, they want to have an ADC installment, this kind of antenna. And also when they want to do some communication, you can see the cost is pretty high. For example, over $100 per gigabit. So that means you can't do a lot for that, right? So, and the bandwidth is limited. You can't do the video. It's a very limited bandwidth on using the satellites. What about we can solve the problem by dropping all these costs and improve the bandwidth like this? Make the ADE installment less than 10K and also communication cost 10 times, more than 10 times lower. And the bandwidth of the communication 1,000 times, 100 times for on the bandwidth. Of course, you think about 5G, right? 5G, we are talking about the 5G today. 5G is a high speed compared to the satellite. it is a benefit on that. Yeah. And before we talk about how to solve the problem, let's take a look at this maritime and also coastal traffic. This is from the International Transport Journal. Okay? You can see there's a vast traffic around the globe, but when you see the color, I don't show the figure yet. The figure very boring. So you look at the color. On the coastal, near coast, they occupy the majority of the traffic. You can think about many of the boats, ship boats, also yachts, even container boats. If they travel within the continent, they like to travel along the coast rather than go to the deep ocean. It's true, right? And also based on the international exclusive economic zone, it does in line with that. Remember the zone, you're talking about the 200 knot mile along the coast. Majority of the economy on the maritime that's along the coast. So when you're along the coast, are you really require all the communication through the satellite? The answer is no. We can use 5G. So let's see how our solution can help. Right here, we have some kinds of solution. We are deploying in mainland China for some of the boats. Yeah, on the maritime communication based on both satellite and 5G network. For example, here there's a vessel far away from the landline. Of course, 5G using the satellites. Yeah, when for some basic communication, when it is approaching to the land, like here, they can still use your satellite, but more efficient, cost effective. They can use 5G. The distance between here is around 100 kilometers. Some place longer distance, some place shorter distance, depends on the location of that. This can largely resolve the problem on the communication bandwidth requirement and also on the cost on both on the satellite communication. Okay. And also when we really travel along the coast, for example, when some of the container boats travel from Tianjin city in mainland China, northern part of China, and come to Hong Kong. So it's reasonable for these container boats. They all travel along the coast to Hong Kong because it's in the same continent. It's not reasonable for them to go to the ocean. When they really travel along the coast, for example, like this map, you can see along the coast, starting from left-hand side in Hong Kong, all the way to the right-hand side to some of the city, Shanmei city in mainland China. When some of the vessels travel around here, there are many of these base stations already set up for the land use. Of course, some of the antenna also face to the ocean because some of the boats, they are very close. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer close, they can still use it. And majority of them can use it right now, like this. Yeah, but even though on this antenna, they have some of the data transmission, radio transmission along the ocean far away. Based on the current technology, nobody can use it. With our later technology for the long range antenna, we can cover it. Will be like this. When the boat traveling, and from the starting point, you can see the color of the radio signal. They are very weak. Majority of these are using your handset. You can't receive it. So we really can receive this data and transmit at very, very high speed compared to the satellite. We can help on this data communication and reduce the cost, increase the speed. So many people over there can just use a regular cost, like a 5G, maybe a little bit higher because the extra setup on that. They can use it for YouTube, for Instagram, and very freely compared to the early days. Apart from that, we can also say, okay, when they use a satellite, secure. Yeah. Also, there's a lot of control on the data. Actually, we have a technology, it's called a soft slicing. People know about 5G have a slicing on the radio signal. But if you do the slicing for all this kind of network, the cost is very high. We can do the soft slicing on the layer 2 networking part. And this slicing, we can make it as an internet slide, virtual information control slide, radio network slide, depends on the requirement, also the priority of that. Some of the bandwidth can be higher, some of the bandwidth can be lower. So in the same vessel, you can the owner of the ship, they can decide some of them for the staff, some for passenger, some of these slicing are for the boat control. It will be really useful for this maritime. Right? So here are some setup for us in mainland China. Look at here, circle. This is a maritime 5G CPE. Of course, it should be under the harsh environment, industrial grade, because you'll be salty, have very bad weather. And compared to on the left-hand side, you can see compared to the satellite antenna, we are much smaller. We can work together with a control using our soft slicing technology. Some of the information go through satellite, some of them go through the 5G. And we did some tests here. You see the distance. Actually, in the summary, we can have a figure here. Over 65 kilometer, you can still up to 40 megabits per second. Compared to, hey, how 100K on the satellite, significant changes on that. And the cost is less than 10% of the cost. Of course, we talk about the maritime, the coastal maritime, also with the satellite. When some of these container boats, when go to the port, approaching the port, before they go to the port, they are massive information want to exchange to the port. So we can rely on 5G. When they are approaching here, there are lots of information they don't have to send to the satellite. Before they approach the port, may take them 1 hour, 2 hours, really parking on the port. During that time, 5G already covered because it is a long distance. And all the information will arrive the port before the boats are parked here. So you can have efficiency of the port. Yeah. So talking about efficiency of the port, we think about the clock crane, also the control machine or the auto bus, etc. We just AIS just mentioned about. Yeah, we also did something similar in mainland China. Actually, in the top 10 ports, as Terence mentioned, we already cover 4 of them, including Hong Kong Hutchison Port and also mainland China and Tianjin and Shenzhen ports. Yeah. For ports, there are lots of different kind of requirements, mainly automation, efficiency on the ports, how we can manage to help them. Yeah. The first thing, when these container boats are parked here, they need to load or unload this container. We use a clock crane. Yeah. In the old time, mainly or clock crane, when they use a control remotely, they use a fiber or guided wavelength, as AIS also mentioned there. Yeah. So it's a common, yeah, for managing clock crane. But some of these guideline, this line wire, they get broken. Whenever it's broken, it requires some time for repair. You're wasting time. The crane can't work. We do some of the discussion with the port owner. Every time this clock crane, they lose the control, lose the connection, they will lose 1 million revenue, US dollars. It's a big problem. They have hundreds of cranes there. Every year, they will drop off the line. Yeah. So what we help them to do, so of course, like this prop we are doing, yeah, we put our industrial grade CPE on both port, on the crane, and also in the control center. Yeah. This the fiber wire here is a private network, and 5G base station is a public network. It's a challenge that the public network and private network and work together using the traditional industrial protocol. For example, Profinet is a layer 2 protocol. It can't be used on just internet, but our technology can help them. And wherever this fiber wire, they have a broken, they switch to the 5 base station. immediately. And we're using multi-operator and the bonding of the network, make sure the bandwidth is higher and also more secure and also more reliable. For example, in Hong Kong, we use 2 operators with same cranes. In Tianjin port, there are 3 operators. That means that they have 3 or 4 CPU on that. Yeah. It saves the time for them, also make the cost, make the loss reduce. Yeah. Now in Shenzhen Yantian port, they completely using the 5G rather than the fiber wire. They use the fiber wire as a backup now, just a swap it. So based on the example as I've mentioned, we got some kinds of high grain arrayed container is industrial grade. It's a dual 5G, connecting multiple operator at the same time. Also with the same private network. We don't need them to set up all this slicing themselves. We will use a soft slicing, bandwidth aggregation, etc. We can solve all this problem. And yes, they are widely deployed in mainland China, Hong Kong, and try to go to Southeast Asia. Of course, from the port, also go to land for retail or the smart city project. The solution can use a 5G, can fully cover on that. Yeah. Many customers will be deployed in the world, and also in old days we got some of tons of award because of this new technology deployed. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kingston. I think it's a very good illustration about how you support the coastal management with 5G. It's a very innovative idea. Actually, yeah, there are already infrastructure there. I think with your technology, it can really make use of this infrastructure to support coastal 5G, which much cheaper than the satellite, which is very good. I believe there are huge opportunity with this new idea. So thanks again for your speech. And then if any people want to connect to Kingston, you can find his profile in the LinkedIn, share in the chat box. And if you have any question to him, there are already some questions to you, Kingston. You can go to the Q&A boxes to have to answer. Again, we don't have time to respond verbally, but feel free to raise questions to Kingston, and then he will help to follow up. So far, I think we already got more than 15 questions. Thanks all the speaker help to answer. It's very good. So finally, of course, not least, I would like to introduce the panelists. But first of all, I need to introduce my very good friend, John Tay. He's the founder and the president of Changemaker. I know John Tay a few years ago since he drive 5G development in MCMC. Now, of course, he has another new role to support Malaysia for digital transformation. I just let him to introduce himself and also the rest of the panelists from around the region and Europe. Thank you. Over to you, John. By the way, John, if you have any question to the panel, you can also put the question in the Q&A boxes. So John will see if there are time to answer. Okay, over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Terence. Nice to see you online again. And today we are very lucky to have 3 esteemed panelists, from near and far. We have Johan Effendi. Johan is the head of business technology, Celcom DG. He's a digital transformation leader. It's very nice to have him here today. And then next we have Dr. Tang. Dr. Tang is from a steering committee for GTI since 2012 and the MD for Arite M, if I correct it. And then last we have David Smith, all the way from Dublin, Ireland, right, David? How's the weather there? Okay,
it's not bad. It's sunny.
30 years plus in corporate innovation, international expansion, M&A, investment banking, and he's with Huawei SPO Lab. mission is basically to research and how telcos do business in 5 years' time, looking into innovation, business model, processes, and ecosystem. I won't go too long on the profile. I think Terrence's team has shared their LinkedIn, so you can look at it a little bit later. So let's start with the panelists. I will go in Johan first. Johan, are you okay? Nearest here. So basically, Johan as a champion in digital transformation, looking from his profile in LinkedIn, could you share with us, the audience today, some of the use cases or the impact or challenges in digitalization? I think a lot of people are looking at transformation. I think it's very hot right now, AI and so on. For logistic and port, from the Malaysian perspective, I think coming from the telco side. Okay, Johan, yes, please.
All right. Thank you very much, John, for the introduction. Can you hear me? Say yes, right?
Good.
Everyone can hear me. All right.
Yes,
So I think, when I meet people, especially today, since I'm wearing baju Melayu, which is a Malay costume, I'm actually hosting a Celcom DG Raya event in Johor Bahru. So, when people ask me, Joe, how long have you joined the telco? It's only been 4.5 years. Before that, I was with the airlines for 8 years and then 15 years in oil and gas. So one of the answers that I give is that I joined the telco because I was fascinated with 5G. Okay, now let me just talk about the Malaysian market adoption for 5G, just a bit, right? I believe the market adoption for Malaysia has been quite impressive. Even though we have a single wholesale network kind of a proposition here in Malaysia, as of last year, I think the 5G coverage has hit almost 80% of populated areas. And then in terms of the adoption by subscribers, Malaysia, it seems, is ranking as one of the top performers globally, with significantly increase in terms of median download speeds since the introduction of 5G, I think 2-3 years ago. Right? And I think a lot of Malaysians are using 5G right now to actually do business. I was in a market in Terengganu last week, and I saw people doing live streaming, selling gold chains in that market, right? In a very traditional market. Now, as of January 2024, mobile operators combined, Celcom, DG, Maxis, and a few others, have about 10 million 5G subscribers, or about 30% adoption rate. If we compare ourselves to other countries, we may be short, but I think it's quite an impressive number. However, I think there's a lot of room of improvement. And, if there's a lot of room for improvements, of course, there's going to be challenges ahead. Let me just share, give me a few minutes, and let me just share a few examples, mainly with regards to the challenges of 5G in terms of in-building coverage and also rural and remote areas, because that 80% number that I mentioned just now was only for COPA, which is the coverage on populated areas. But how about in-building and how about rural and remote areas? Now, deploying 5G inside a building and in rural or remote areas presents quite a bit of challenge because the cost is huge and the penetration, and there's no one living in this lower populated areas. A lot needs to be done by government. And in this case, it's the federal level, the state level, and the local councils. So, a mobile operator like myself, we have to go through all these levels of government agencies where companies that are eager to adopt the use cases of 5G and wants to leverage on the 5G public network is going to be quite a constraint. Working collaboratively, between these agencies, the mobile operators is needed. And this can be quite a big problem if not led by a certain authority responsible to spearhead this national initiative. For companies that see tremendous value in 5G, I think I've seen themselves for the past 1 to 2 years, they are already willing to invest in their own private 5G deployments. For Celcom DG, we are providing private 4G and private 5G to about 20 offshore plants for oil and gas company here in Malaysia. Now we can see this demand for it and the number of deployments here increasing. I believe this way forward this will be the way forward for most companies who wants to ensure that they can manage and control 5G technology themselves. Because a lot of them are thinking about security, data privacy reasons, rather than riding on the public 5G network. Another point that I want to share is that maybe the total cost of ownership to deploy private 5G technology is also becoming more optimized and affordable, as they can be offered on cloud native kind of basis and also consume as an OpEx model. So, John, that's my my view of how the Malaysian market is adopting 5G.
I see. Thanks, Johan. Would there be any like use cases from the port, locally, or maybe, in terms of adoption of digital transformation, before they move into 5G in parallel, or would you be able to share something on?
Yeah, I think we, for CelcomDigi, we have customers who are ports. There are two port operators that are working with us. But in comparison with how the other presenters just now have presented the use cases, I think, like I said, there's a lot of room for improvement. Today, I think the technology is being used for video surveillance, for logistic kind of surveillance, very basic. We don't see the penetration of automation as yet. We don't see that autonomous trucks and autonomous cranes just yet.
I see.
And I think that needs to be looked at, because as the ports become more busy, right, I think there is a need to look into all this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's good. Malaysia need to catch up also, hopefully. So based on the presenter this afternoon, it's quite interesting. Okay, next we'd like to invite Dr. Tang. Dr. Tang, could you share with us, the audience on how passive IoT technology can be adopted in the logistic and port deployment ecosystem, and what are some of the advantages and challenges, that you have experienced, in some of the projects. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Let me just quickly introduce a bit about myself and GTI. That will answer John's, your question more directly. My name is PS Tang. I'm also a Malaysian, by the way, but living in Singapore for the last 30 odd years. I was the founding director of Packet One Network, or P1 Network in Malaysia, for people who knows. So I've been involved in the quite fixed wireless since the 4G days for a very long time. Yeah. So it's from there I joined GTI as a steering committee. So GTI as an organization actually consists of 146 operator members who are actually using this as a platform to share our experience and try to influence the industry. Yeah. So GTI started in 2011 trying to promote TDD spectrum as part of the 4G LTE standard. Yeah. So we've been very successful, so that every devices all of us are using today has both FDD spectrum and TDD spectrum. Yeah. So that's a lot due to the GTI. And after doing that, we've been pushing TDD spectrum into 5G. Which has been adopted successfully. And now in this 5G era, GTI is taking up a role to how to promote the adoption of 5G by the industries. And that's why I'm here. That's why Terence invited us. We are working with the GSMA and other international organizations on promoting 5G for the industry, and which is a key pillar of 5G monetization. Yeah, so that will be our key focus. So I think in terms of going to make 5G adoption in the industry, I think you heard a bit of what Johan just mentioned. I think a lot of the big mission critical operations are thinking about private 5G. And I think a lot of the presentation in the last 2 or 3, they are talking about using 5G and how to optimize it to meet some of the private 5G requirement. Yeah. So from GTI point of view, because we have many operators and we have also a lot of them has very successful use cases for private 5G. We want to use that to help all the other countries to be able to meet up with your what you call that, the regulators, especially, so that they can allocate more frequency spectrum for private 5G. Yeah, and the main reason why the mission critical industry are paranoid about using 5G is their concern on cybersecurity. So they wanted private 5G where they have better control, and sometimes they want what we call total isolation from their operational technology part of the deployment. Yeah, or they call it the OT part of their operation. And of course, I think the technology are there now. If we can get more frequency spectrum from the regulators for private 5G as well, I think that will help to reduce the concern and encourage more adoption. So GTI want to take up that role as a neutral mobile operator associations to help the industries to be able to convince regulators to allocate more spectrum. Yeah. So I think to answer your question, John, as you know, passive IoT is part of the 5G advance. Yeah. I think besides passive IoT, you have the new standard, the RIC-cap, or they call it the reduced capacity standard, which I think David, our next panelist, we're going to spend more time on. I will just focus a bit more on the passive IoT because it is something fairly new and it is applicable for the whole industry sector. Just think about passive IoT is basically RFID tag, yeah, which doesn't have battery, that can be now attached to anything you want to track. It could be a piece of clothing, it could be a container, it could be a machine, it could be a drone. Yeah. And what passive IoT different from RFID is that it had very long range of sensing. Yeah. So you can have your transmitter receiver node, we call it, that can be 50 to 100 meters away from your passive IoT tag. Yeah. Think about it, today, all the passive RFID has to go through something like a gantry. Yeah, if you go for a shopping mall, then you realize when you move out of the gantry, that's where they try to detect your RFID. So assisting technology, RFID, we are talking about only providing you meters of range to detect the passive RFID tag. But for passive IoT, you can actually now detect the passive IoT tag within more than 50 meters, and in some cases even 100 meters away. Yeah, and there are discussion about using this the receiver and transmitter station for tagging to be part of your cellular base station architecture. That will then open up all the applications about using passive IoT, not just in your confined factory, confined warehouse, or even confined within the ports that you're operating in. It could, in the future, be able to be a mobile passive IoT tracked by mobile base station. Yeah, so that could be one direction passive IoT is going, and it will again open up a lot of new application, especially for the logistic and the transport sector. So all in all, 5G and 5G Advanced are going to bring more and more capability for not just the port, but for the whole logistic and transport industry as a whole. And one thing that we're trying to encourage the industry to adopt it more aggressively is to give them comfort. If we can get more spectrum from the regulators for passive, for private 5G, so that these are dedicated private 5G deployment only within your operating campus. Yeah, that will give you total isolation from the internet and reduce your chance of cyber attack. So that will be the storyline or the message GTI want to promote, yeah, especially within today's panel discussion. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Doctor, for the information. I think it's interesting. I've been involved with RFID from pretty much from day one. I think it's quite interesting to see there is some new things from 5G Advanced. You know, I'll be looking into that as well and hope to learn from everyone as well how we can further adopt the RFID technology. I know in Malaysia, especially the toll, I think they are using RFID as one of the lane as well. So hopefully in the very near future, we can learn from each other and see how can be applicable in different verticals or different ecosystem. Okay, that's good. Thanks, Doctor. Okay, last, I would like to invite David. David Smith, could you share with us, in terms of Huawei, adoptions of the 5G Advanced or best recap, I think Dr. Tang covered quite a lot on passive IoT. Could you share how some, if there's any use cases on logistic and ports, maybe from some of the showcases or use cases in China and Middle East, or through some of the alliances that you are aware of? Over to you,
Sure.
David.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, just to start out to say that, Huawei's been working with an awful lot of ports and an awful lot of port companies. I think we're involved in about 50 different ports around the world at the moment, and also airports, which a lot of technology in terms of passenger flow, custom flow, will be applicable at over 200 airports as well. And all of this based, I suppose, around our platform and ecosystem approach in terms of not just bringing the technology, but bringing partners and bringing whole solutions with us. And I suppose looking at some of the outcomes that we've had working, particularly in the area of customs flow, where we've now got to 99.5% paperless customs flow through some of the major ports in China. And also looking at some of the big port projects we've been working on. Huawei's worked in the Ningbo port in China. Is probably the world's biggest port, depending on how you look at transport volumes. And the technology allows for the remote control of cranes. So cranes, drivers and crane operators no longer having to do the climb up to the top of the crane, do their shift up the crane, and then spend the time coming down, but now being able to do that from a carpeted control room, either back in headquarters or completely offsite as well. And looking at the efficiencies that things like that are brought, looking at the loading efficiency gone up by about 30% there, and then using autonomous trucks to transport the containers within the ports themselves. We can see that the transfer times going down from about 50 minutes down to about 20 minutes. So, huge efficiency improvement. So I know we talk a lot about technology, and, I suppose being technology companies, it does excite us. But looking at the actual efficiency it brings to the ports by bringing in 5G, by bringing in optimization, by bringing in autonomous driving, bringing huge benefits to the ports. We looked at working in Europe. We're working with a number of the big installations there, particularly the East-West Gateway in Hungary, where we've done a fully automated tally system there, and overall terminal efficiency by bringing in 5G has increased about 30% there, and operations costs have fallen about 40% there. And again, we can see that the same sort of results from the work we've done in the Port of Piraeus in Greece, some of the work we've done with Hutchinson ports as well, and some of the work we've done in Saudi Arabia, and across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East as well. So the whole idea of bringing in autonomous driving and bringing in remote operations, and also the increase in security by using the likes of AI cameras to automatically detect threats within the port or automatically detect anomalies within the port. So are people wearing the right safety equipment? Are they in the right zone? Do they have the permission to be in those zones as well? So the whole idea, the 5G brings obviously much better, much faster, much higher throughput connectivity, but also focusing particularly on the outcomes and the total cost of ownership and the total cost of ownership savings. I think in the port of Ningbo, we were able to bring, I think, using the various automations, about 7.5 million in annual savings there as well. In terms of RedCap, as Dr. Tang was talking about, the new passive IoT, RedCap, or reduced capability, to give it its full name, is one of the things that's coming along from the latest implementation of the 5G standards. It's a lightweight version of the full 5G standard, but it comes equipped with very powerful performance. And it's designed for use cases where you don't require the full ultra low latency of full 5G, but you still require reasonable throughput to ensure that the data flows and support next generation applications. So what you get is the devices that have reduced complexity. They have lower cost because of this. They have a smaller form factor, and they have a longer battery lifespan if they're battery enabled, but yet provide enough performance to do most IoT jobs out there. So they still retain the key 5G native capabilities. They're ultra reliable. They do have low latency. They do allow for network slicing, and they do allow for precise positioning as well. So it's a new standard, but we're looking already at a fairly robust ecosystem out there. 3 commercial chips, more on the way, 10 modules, again, more on the way, over 50 devices, again, much more on the way actually as well. So the outlook now for this year, we're going to see 20 more modules in RedCap modules, certainly over 60 terminals coming out. And what we've seen as the new products come out is a continual fall in pricing. So it means that it becomes much more economical to bring RedCap onto devices. We see RedCap modules where you're checking onto existing terminals with a RedCap terminal, but we're also seeing RedCap now being embedded into the equipment as well. So you're buying it with already RedCap involved. So we've seen it used for video monitoring. Again, it's a very good use case for AI-enabled cameras. We've seen it for for campus security, but also for monitoring operations as well. We've seen RedCap drones in use as well. That's for unmanned inspection, also for equipment, remote equipment inspection, remote monitoring of devices. We've seen RedCap used in AGVs, so autonomous ground vehicles for predictive maintenance. We've seen it used for, again, in lots of cases for machinery monitoring. And we've seen a lot of uses for IoT. So again, RedCap is just, I suppose, another arsenal. It will meet an awful lot of requirements out there. It doesn't meet every requirement. Sometimes you need the full 5G standard in there. And we've seen it much more adoption, and we'll see the continued adoption of it within the ports as well. I hope that answers some of that, John.
Yeah, that's very good. I think the RedCap has created a lot of interest. I mean, the example that you have shared, it's very, very interesting, and I'm quite sure the industry will look further into this on how they can adopt into their verticals, because I'm hearing a lot of productivity, efficiency, safety, looking at private 5G, with more spectrum available. I think that will be great, in terms of for mission critical application, so industry could, have a better ROI, and easier adoption as more use cases are shared. We can learn from each other. I think it's very good that, we have the 3 panelists today, to share with you. I'm not sure. I don't see any question, right? Is that Q&A? Not yet, right? If any of you have any question, do type at the Q&A so we can route it to any of the panelists. So in the meantime, maybe we just go one round in the interest of time, 4:34. Maybe, in 2 minutes, maybe if you want to add in additional of what you have mentioned just now, that will be of interest to the audience today. Johan, would you?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'm glad that David mentioned just now that it's not too much about the technology, but also about how the business adoption is like, right? So, if you come across my LinkedIn profile, I have a very kind of weird title. It's business CIO, not a normal CIO, it's business CIO. So I think for me, my experience has always been trying to get the customers or my internal customers to focus on the business and not just about the technology. Technology, leave it to us, right? Leave it to the technology guys, leave it to the partners, vendors, because I think we work hard day and night to make sure that the technology is just right for our business. Now, I believe, today, I think the borderless global trade, exponential growth in e-commerce, this will all keep our ports and our logistics value chain very, very busy. Okay, and I think it would be good if, you know, it's a problem that where we need to be able to solve to compete in this space. And I think port operators must modernize, automate, be safe, and be green, right? Because, you know, be safe and be green, or HSC factors, is very important in many industries, right? Especially for logistics industries in particular, right? I think with 5G connectivity, ports can be more automated. Safety features can be enhanced through real-time monitoring and response capabilities. This can also help the reduction of human errors and loss of productive time due to accidents and injuries. Right? I think me being in oil and gas before, I see that the #1 KPI of an organization that I've joined previous years was HSC, not revenue. Revenue comes second. Health and safety comes first. In short, I think it's important for the port operators and for us to really know why we need to have 5G and to establish a clear business case for it. And I think with that, I think do reach out to the panelists, to myself, and to your technology partners for us to jointly and co-create this business view of how we should be deploying our technology in the case of 5G. Back to you, John.
I totally agree. I mean, business should be key rather than technology per se. So, okay. Dr. Tang, you want to add anything? A short one?
Yeah, I guess I want to highlight, since I've gone through this myself, is a case of using private network. Again, I'm going to touch on that in enhancing the industrial operation. This will be the project that in Malaysia called the East Coast Railway Line. I think Johan might probably be aware of it as well. And probably yourself, John. Yeah. So in 2018, I'm the person that was trying to promote to ECRL and to our regulator in Malaysia, MCMC, to allocate them a dedicated frequency spectrum so they can deploy a private LTE. Yeah. And rather than using, again, just pure public network type of GSM or GSMA, which is a very old technology. So I managed to actually talk to the MCMC, the chairman at that time, well, 3 chairmen before because of the change of government in Malaysia. He has actually given the green light, and glad to say that the MCMC, our regulator, has allocated the 1.9 gigahertz spectrum for ECRL, so that ECRL can actually deploy a private LTE, or you call it LTER, yeah, for their whole railway operation. All the way from from Klang, the west coast of Malaysia, to the east coast, going through multiple tunnels, around 600 kilometers length in terms of the railway line, and something that GTI was very keen, or I personally was very keen to promote, that since the private spectrum is already allocated, they could actually use it, use a private spectrum for a private 4G or private LTE or private 5G, while they're actually building the railway line across the highlands of Malaysia, or through the tunnel. Because currently they don't have any good form of broadband connectivity when they're building the railway line. So they could actually use that private spectrum to use private 4G or 5G in construction of the railway line, and then build a common infrastructure for their LTER, which is a private network, and use a common infrastructure to support the public 4G and public 5G network. Yeah, so that's one example about how, when you are deploying private network together with public network, a lot of the infrastructure can be shared. So in that sense, you actually reduce your capex and improve your efficiency and better ROI. Yeah. So as a business case, GTI is also trying to promote all the big building, big industry. When you're building private network, you can also build public network infrastructure concurrently, so that the public telco can share part of the capex in actually deploying such an infrastructure. And another alternative way of looking at it, you can talk to the mobile operators that have base station deployed around your operating area, whether you can share that infrastructure to put in additional private 5G. Basically, it's an additional box in that whole infrastructure that you have. Yeah. So by doing that, the cost of private 5G is actually much more affordable and improve ROI. Yeah. So common infrastructure, more frequency spectrum. Yeah, that is the two areas that GTI would want to promote the concept throughout the world.
Okay, very, very good use cases. I mean, to hear on the ECRL, adopting the LTER, so that's good. Yeah. Okay. Last one. I think we are probably a little bit over. David, will just sum it up with yourself, giving additional info that you want to drop in.
Yeah, I suppose just very quickly, Huawei's actually worked on a phenomenal amount of railways, about I think 150,000 kilometers of railways around the world, and we're working in about 70 cities in urban railways, and we're also looking at implementing the FRMCS, the new the transition from I suppose GSMA or to the new 5G standard for railway. Picking up what Johan has said there, the whole idea about safety, HSE, incredibly important, and the use cases in ports where you have a lot of remote driving, a lot of autonomous vehicles. It's about getting people away from dangerous and exposed areas and putting them into, I suppose, office environments where they can still do the work, actually do the work better, more efficiently, but more safely as well. And then the use of AI-enabled cameras in terms of spotting people not wearing the right protective equipment, being in the wrong areas, people loitering in the wrong areas, security concerns. So again, there's a lot of use cases around ports to keep people safer, both the workers, but also the passengers if it's a passenger port as well. And I suppose one last thing to say is that Huawei is heavily involved in the work in Malaysia, heavily involved with a lot of partnerships in Malaysia with MIMOS, with the Maxis 5G Alliance, also working with CelcomDigi on their 5G initiatives as well, and working with TM as well on some of their initiatives. So very involved in partnerships, and we do most of our work through partnerships and getting involved in local initiatives as well. Thanks, John, for moderating.
Okay, thank you. I think we got two questions. I think quite interesting. Maybe the panelists can respond to that. Okay, I think you've answered that, right? One of you. Okay. Okay. I think there's one open. Spectrum is very scarce. How does telcos intend to handle private 5G? Maybe we take that part, Ani. Anyone want to pick up that question, or you can type it?
Yeah, I'm typing an answer, or I can basically also verbally say.
Yeah, maybe you can verbally. We just sum it up as the last question. Yeah.
Actually, there are still quite a lot of unused spectrum. That's the advantage of we call it TDD spectrum, because it's much easier to allocate a small block or a big block to individual user on a geographical location. Yeah. So, for example, a port in Klang in Malaysia can be given 15 megahertz of spectrum to use. For example, 4.9 gigahertz. Yeah, 4.7 to 4.9 gigahertz is quite open, not been allocated in most countries. Yeah. But China Mobile has used it. Taiwan, Japan, and I believe a few other European countries has allocated 4.7 to 4.9 for private 5G. Yeah. So if any country in the region or in all the participants today, if your regulators are open to allocate the 4.7 to 4.9 gigahertz spectrum for private 5G, then you can actually use it for private 5G deployment in your own location. Yeah, and as I said, because if it's geographically separated, then you can have the port in Klang using it, ECRL, the railway line can use it, or the airport can use it, because they are geographically separated. So again, there's a new mindset. The regulator need to think about allocating spectrum per location and pay per use, rather than the traditional way of spectrum allocation based on giving it to a mobile operator or operator for the whole nation, and then they would then try to serve all the various user group. Yeah, so I think that is the mindset we also will need to educate or get the regulator to change the mindset.
Yeah.
Allocating spectrum based on location based and pay per use, yeah, for the spectrum fee, and of course you need to be able to manage. But that's where GTI comes in. We want to be able to share with you, share with your regulators how other countries are doing it and how they've been using it successfully. The same spectrum used by multiple users in that same country on location-based, pay-per-use basis.
Okay, thank you. I think we overshot a little bit. I see Terence is already on his video. So let's I'd like to thank the three panelists for your insightful information, on this topic today. I think it's very good. Thank you for your time. With that, Terence, I pass the floor back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again for everyone. I think today's section is very focusing on the smart port and logistics, and we are really luxury to have all the very experienced speaker around the region and also from Europe. So I think you hear a lot about the opportunity of 5G. I think a lot of people still think about 5G is very expensive, but actually it's very flexible. And it could be tailor-made for your scenario to justify your investment. If you look at 5G, don't look at it as just a very expensive technology. This is a future-proof technology support for you for the next 10 to 20-year business operation. So it's not a single investment. It can support connecting all your infrastructure with a very secure and stable compared to existing limitation of Wi-Fi or satellite communication or the limitation on using fiber. Okay, so bear in mind this 5G is still in a journey, right? I mean, everyone learning how to use 5G, and you see today people think about using 5G to cover the coastal area, right? This is a new idea, right? Why not we use it? Because it really compromise the limitation on the satellite, right? If it is near shore, it's easy to use the 5G to support tremendous bandwidth in a very cheap cost, right? So don't really think about 5G expensive. It can be used in different angle. So again, I think thanks John, my very good friend. Don't leave the industry. I think you're always help us to support the industry to move forward. So yeah, so the next gathering, hopefully we can see all of you in MWC Shanghai on end of June. So we will have a lot of activity. I think GTI, Huawei, and of course we also have APAC delegation from Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, etc. We hope to bring you to network more, to learn from each other. I know each of you have innovative idea, but we just need to work together more to brainstorm and see how we can adopt 5G. Because sometimes when we think about 5G in our angle, actually in the last section in connected industry in Singapore, the doctor told us, in our mind, we think remote surgery for 5G healthcare, but it doesn't work, right? Because of the SLA, everything, right? But now the doctor, the digital pioneer doctor, they know how to use 5G to support them, the surgery, the navigation, rather than remote surgery. It's very practical. It's already deployed in NUHS. So we're seeing a lot of this kind of innovation from different digital pioneer in different sectors. So we are looking forward. The port operator and the logistic pioneer, they can also tell us how they use 5G in a correct way, in a really a sustainable way for help them to improve their ROI or solving their daily problem. So looking forward to see you again. If you want to connect to any speaker, you can find their profile in the chat box. And then if you still want to have some follow-up discussion, welcome to reach out to them. They are very happy to support. And then if you want to join the community, of course, welcome to you to join. Or if you want to go Shanghai together with us, let me know. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So that's it. Thank you. See you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.